let's talk about talk therapy versus transformational processing. With talk therapy, we talk about what's happened. When we're talking about something that's traumatic, we experience a lot of overwhelm. So much so that we disassociate. So even though someone else hears our story, like a therapist, and they're validating that as we talk about it, we're so dissociated that we don't acknowledge our own story. And so we need to say it over and over again because there's this emotional element to what's happened and what we've experienced. We think that talking about it over and over is going to resolve that emotion. I found out that my ex was cheating. I actually got receipts, actual literal receipts. I found the receipt of the lingerie that he had purchased for me for Christmas. But on that receipt was the little pink frilly thing that he had purchased for me in a small, but there was also an extra small and a large. That night after I had found that receipt, I had a dream to call the company. So the next morning when I woke up, I called the company, and there were 3 different orders with 14 different things flying around that he had given to other women. And I went to therapy 3 times a week because of all that underlying emotional stuff that all the talking in the world couldn't resolve. And I wish that I had never met him. I wish I hadn't have wasted 4 years of my life. But what I really needed to do was to acknowledge it and process that trauma. Because what happens when we experience trauma, it doesn't get filed away neatly like all of our other memories with a beginning, a middle, and an end, where we can remember what happened in the beginning, then we had the experience, and then it ended. Trauma is like a bomb that when we're experiencing it, this bomb goes off in our brain, and there's little fragments everywhere in our brain and also in our body. And they don't get filed away into the past. They float around in our present experience, and they randomly pop up like these thoughts, intrusive thoughts that pop up into our mind, or we experience these emotions and these feelings in our bodies as if they were happening right now. But these things are just memories, but they've been stored in the present tense. And so when we talk about them, we feel triggered and overwhelmed. And sometimes talking about them even makes it worse. Instead, what you need is a transformational processing of these emotions. And you don't even have to talk about the trauma. With accelerated hypnotherapy, you can process at that subconscious level, because that's where these thoughts and feelings exist. At the subconscious level, we don't have conscious control over them, so they just pop up randomly, and they're there taking up space. They're there in the present moment, and they're taking up all the space in our future. So we feel stuck, re-experiencing the past. And what subconscious processing does is it puts these feelings and these thoughts into the past. That's how you can tell it's working. Because you'll experience that like all other experiences, and it'll occur to you as if it's in the past, and there'll be some distance between you and that experience. And the emotion is like a balloon, and all the air has gone out of those balloons, and they just drop to the floor, and they're not in your space. in your daily life. And then you realize that those experiences are put in the past where they belong. You realize that there's a whole new future ahead of you, and you actually have access to be present in this moment without the triggers, and you realize that there's this whole new set of possibilities that are available to you in the future. And that's the difference between talk therapy and transformational processing of your emotions. You can put the past into the past and create a happy, fulfilling future. Let me know in the comments what you think. Subscribe and like this video for more content on trauma recovery. And let's connect on the next one.